Welcome back everyone, John Panio here with another video. Today we're going to be going over our girl, W.Corp Cleanup Agent Faust. She is a 2-star unit and she is the only character right now that can support charge builds, but she doesn't do a great job at it, and I'll explain in this video why. So first and foremost, she's a very slow character. 2 to 4 speed is on the very low end. Her resistances are normal to slash, ineffective to pierce, and fatal to blunt. Her first skill is Energy Cycle. It's a 4 base with +6 on coin flip, so potentially it could be up to 10 because you can only flip the coin once, and on hit she gains 2 charge. Her skill 2 is Leap. It's a base of 5 with +4 with 2 coin flips, so she could potentially be at 13, and on hit you spend 3 charge to inflict 4 bind next turn. Her skill 3 is Overcharge. It's a 6 base with +2 with 3 coin flips, so it could go up to 12 potentially, and on hit spend 5 charge to inflict 2 attack power down next turn and inflict 3 paralysis. So her charge allows her to gain access to debuff skills, which is okay, but there are other characters that beef up the enemies without having to use charge. Now, what makes her unique is her passive. Her passive is Self-Charge. Gain 1 charge count after an attack, so this means that every time she uses an attack, she'll gain a charge no matter if the attack generates charge or not. So if you were able to chain 3 NVs together, and let's just say for example 2 of those were Energy Cycle, you would gain 2 charge from Energy Cycle and +1 from the passive, and another 2 charge from Energy Cycle, the second one, and another charge. So in total you'll be getting 6 charges. With that, that's really the only way where you can sufficiently generate charge for Faust to be able to use the skill, because if you're only using, say for example, 1 Energy Cycle, you're only going to be gaining 2 charges. By the end of the turn you lose 1 charge. So in reality, in order for you to gain just 3 charges, you have to Energy Cycle 4 times for you to be able to use 1 skill. So the only way to fully utilize her kit is if you chain a lot of NVs together. However, Faust is indeed Faust, and Faust knows all. The benefit to having Faust is that you gain support to her ego. Her ego is quite strong, representation emitter. It costs 2 gloom, 4 pride, and after attacking it heals 12 SP for all enemies, and it is an AoE attack, which is very, very nice. The only issue with it is that it does take up a bit of resource, and Faust is kind of squishy, so it can be pretty hard for her to be able to get to it. But if you have a good team that can generate a lot of resources for her, she's pretty good. So we'll be taking this team into the dungeon and we'll see what we can do in chapter 3-4. So on the first turn, it looks like we are able to get 3 purple. So let's start chaining our 3 purples together. So what we want to be able to do is we want to get access to at least either her skill 2 or her skill 3 to be able to use those debuffs. Since we had chained 3 purples together, and since Faust is going to be getting 2 from her skill, in total she'll be getting 3 if she wins her clash, and she'll go down to 2 because she loses 1 charge of the turn. Unfortunately though, as you can see, she did not win in her clash, so as a result she does not get a single charge, which is very unfortunate. As you can see, even though I was able to get her passive up, if I don't hit with her skill, she doesn't get a single charge, which is very, very unfortunate. So she is very dependent on landing her hits. So if she doesn't land her hit, she can't generate her charge, which is very bad. As you can see, Overcharge is okay, does decent damage, and this time we have quite a bit of purples. We only have 1 purple for her, so it's okay. We'll go here and we'll use her purple skill together. And if it collides this time, she should gain 3 charge. And unfortunately, she misses again, and she gets staggered. So very unfortunate. As you can see, Faust just feels kind of bad to use, especially if you can't get her charge up. She can do decent damage, but it's just one of those situations where it doesn't feel great using her. If anything, she would work better having her benched, because then she'll gain access to her support skill. And her support skill makes it so that the unit with the lowest max HP gains a charge that turn. This turn around, we were able to get her ego, so let's just go and use her ego and show her what she can do. Her ego, from what it seems like, has a maximum AoE of 2 units. I haven't seen Faust AoE down 3 units. Her AoE skill can only hit down 2 units, so it's not as good as Ebony Stem, which is Otis's free-to-play ego, but obviously that one takes 10 resources, whereas this one takes 6, so it's like almost 50% off. So in that sense, Faust and also Honglu have a pretty decent AoE skill, but Faust has the superior one because Faust has her resources easier to use because it's very easy to get her resources, whereas for everyone else it's a lot harder. But as you can see, in this stage, Faust is struggling quite a bit. It kind of makes a lot of sense because she is, unfortunately, fatal to Blunt, but that shouldn't be the case in the sense that she should still be able to perform, but unfortunately she's not. This is realistically becoming more like a showcase for everybody else. But at least it's a really good showcase to show you that the base characters in this game are probably better than Faust right now. Her kit feels really jank. It doesn't synergize very well, and the only benefit to using her is if you wanted to be able to, you know, pump up some charges in a certain unit that's on your team. But even then though, it feels really bad because you have to be able to have a unit that has low HP to then be able to target her support into her. And even then though, she is still not that great. As you can see, Faust is down. Let's just scoop this and try to showcase her in something where she isn't completely weak to the enemy. So let's take her down to chapter 218 because that's a pretty hard stage. I believe the enemy is still gonna, you know, blunt us down, but let's take her into something that's less difficult. So we're gonna nerf, go into Unloving, and let's go into chapter 218. So we're gonna pop into 218. We're gonna use Faust again, and let's hope this time she performs a little bit better. So how I would build Faust is, honestly, I wouldn't really want to use Faust because at the moment, even though she can provide support for charge, she feels very bad to use. So we're taking her into a lower difficulty and see how she fares here. In the lower difficulty, we should be able to showcase her passive a little bit better. Because with her passive, she should be able to generate charge really easily, but even then, the damage is still not great. So in this case, we were able to get a few purples, which is good. So we'll be using that to our advantage. Okay, so we're using that to our advantage. Perfect. So this time, she should be able to gain 3 charges in total, which will go down to 2 at the end of the turn. Because this time, her attack will connect. As you can see, it went up to 3. At the end of the turn, it's going to go down to 1. Or it's going to go down by 1, so now it's at 2. So now we want to be able to use another purple ideally, but we can't, so we're going to have to use her overcharge, which is fair enough. But as you can see, we can't generate charged very consistently for her to be even able to use the debuffs that applies to your skill, and if that's the case, she's basically doing damage only. And even though she's only doing damage, it's still not enough, because as you can see, we're down to 1 count now, and we still weren't really able to get enough purple, so that just means, unfortunately, we're not able to generate her skill. But we are able to get her AoE ego, which is really good, and as you can see, getting her ego is not too hard. Within a single wave, we're able to get her ego up, which will then allow you to use it at the beginning of this second wave, which is very nice. Because Faust is able to do quite a bit of damage early on if you can use her ego at the beginning of turn 1 of the next wave. With that being said though, her overall kit with this identity just feels kind of lackluster because her whole gimmick is that she's a charged unit. But she doesn't generate charge that well. It's very conditional because you have to chain 3 MVs together, and if you don't, you're not going to get the full bonuses out of it. So in this case, let's just say we're going to be trying to chain the purple together, but we're not going to be able to chain 2 purple together. So that kind of sucks, but even if we can't, we should still be using purple no matter what, because you still want to be able to build up our charge. Because we're using 2 skill 1s, we're going to, or in theory, we should be able to build up 4 charges, unless, actually hold up, these skills look different. She's getting 2 charge, which is good. Oh no, this was the other unit skill, unfortunate. Let's let this battle play out and see where we end up. Faust was only able to use 1 charge, unfortunate. Let's really try to charge her up. Not enough purple, unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate. As you can see, we're in a really awkward spot. We want to use her charge to still keep her charges up, but we lose 1 charge every single time, and we haven't been lucky with getting, you know, envy skills, so I can't really chain 3 together that well, unfortunately. Very, very sad. And it looks like even, yeah, it looks like even before we actually get through the boss, we might be beating the boss without even getting to use her debuff. As you can see, throughout these 2 encounters, we haven't been really able to gain access to her charge set. This time, we still can't get access to her charge. Very unfortunate. So let's just go with this. We're gonna jump in and do a ton of damage, and we're gonna use her leap. Luckily though, using her leap skill doesn't take away the charges that we have built because we're not really using it. But it's just not really doing enough, unfortunately. It's not giving us enough utility because we can't get the charge high enough. It takes up a lot of resource for us to be able to really get Faust going. And as you can see, within 2 fights, we haven't been able to just get the charges ready for her to be able to do it. And even now, we still can't get the charges ready. So, unfortunately, I have to say Faust isn't that strong. Obviously, this boss is going to be going down this turn, and I don't want to waste my energy. But as you can see, Faust is not a great character, at least this unit. She plays very greedily in the sense that she needs so much resource in such a specific way in order to really be able to give her the most value. She can do, you know, support and be able to give your other units a charge count with her support, but that's only if you can chain 3 envies together. So overall, Faust 2-star unfortunately is very mediocre, middle of the pack. She's not a great damage dealer, she's not a good debuffer, and her support doesn't really support her, and her passive doesn't really support herself well, and her radio comm is also very, very conditional. So I would honestly say Faust right now is just middle of the pack, really jank, doesn't really have a home where she belongs. So unfortunately, this character is just not strong enough. Hopefully they have some better support eventually to be able to make, you know, Faust a little bit better, but right now Faust is not that great. If you guys have Faust on your team, let me know how you think of her right now. At the moment, I rarely use Faust. She's not that strong. I haven't been able to find a team that really works with her. Potentially, maybe if I had 3-star Don Quixote and 3-star Heathcliff, maybe at that point it would make a bit of sense because those are both charge characters, but or also 3-star Ishmael. But even then, with those situations, I don't think she's that good. Anyways, I am calling it. I stream on Twitch almost every day, and I also have a Discord community, so make sure you guys join that. If you guys have any questions, you can also see me there. Anyways, John Panio signing up. I'll see you guys later.